Hi, my name is Kelly Parker, and I did my behavior change project over who we'll call Max. He's 6 years old. He has the diagnosis of autism, and uh, the behavior that he was engaging in was spitting behavior. So I worked a lot with the BCBA that works at the clinic that I work at as well. And she stated that we should get baseline, figure out function, and then create the intervention. So Max would spit at the most random times. He would spit at lights, so he would look up at lights and then spit. He would look when there was like sun coming through the window and then he would spit, or he would spit while he was holding something, a preferred item. He really loved Play-Doh, and he had a string that he would carry on him all the time. So I work with him about a few hours a week, and so do a couple of other therapists. And one of them asked him, like, why do you spit at the window or the light? And he said, because he liked the way it looked. So it's assumed that, this is mentalistic of me to say, is that he probably liked the way that it glistened in the light. So those are the behaviors that we were that was the behavior that I was looking at, the spitting behavior in those three specific contexts. So we initially decided to count how many times it was happening in one context. So we had ABC data sheets that we filled out. So the A, the antecedent, was what happened right before he spit. The B was the behavior, and if he spit while holding something at the light or out the window. And C was the consequence, which was what happened immediately afterwards. This was before intervention, so it was, did you ignore it? Did he say something? You know, what happened immediately after he spit? So baseline was interesting because right when we started tracking it, he stopped doing it. It's like he knew we were tracking it. As funny as that sounds. But then eventually he did spit, and then it was super inconsistent. Like 0 to 21 to 11 to 6 back to 0. So my BCBA suggested like taking it more until it became more consistent. And then it became consistent. So then the intervention was, if he spit out the light, we would shut the light off, because he would always request for the light to come back on. So that must have been the reinforcing of the way it looked in the light. And then if he spit out the window, we would close the blinds, because he would request for the blinds to be opened back up. And then if he was holding something, we would remove the item from his hands. So we used a DRO reinforcement, differential reinforcement of other behavior. And this was where we reinforced anytime he engaged in any other behavior besides the three. So fortunately for us, this kid loves to talk, so we were able to get him to, I would anyways, get him to engage in preferred topics. He loved to talk about Jumanji. He loves that movie and the book and the game. He loves talking about air conditioners and vents and fans. And he loves those fly guys that they have at car dealerships that blow in the wind. And he loved Play-Doh. So I'd always try to engage him in talking, so that it was impossible for him to engage in the spitting behavior. So with the intervention, it decreased significantly. This was automatic behavior, and I feel like because it was automatic, it was relatively easy to stop, because it didn't bother him when things got removed, and he would immediately stop the spitting behavior. Initially, there was like another behavior of screaming, but that quickly disappeared. So then I used an AB design, so then we removed the intervention, and then he started spitting again, because we were pretty much ignoring the behavior, not intervening at any point. And then we reapplied the intervention, which it decreased significantly. So I believe with the DRO and the extinction, his spitting behavior was able to extinct. Not all the way to 0, but significantly less than prior. So with my results, I stated that it did help, the intervention that we used, but for my limitations, I stated, using the DRO is interesting, because you could be reinforcing another inappropriate behavior. Like I said, he did scream a few times after things were removed or things were shut. Um, but luckily for us, this kid he doesn't produce maladaptive behaviors. Like he doesn't hit, kick, throw. Um, he just shows like distress. Like he'll just be like, "Hey, give it back to me." I mean, that's the farthest that it would win. Or like, "Hey, turn that back on," and we'd be like, "Oh, not right now," and he'd be like, and he would move on. So another limitation I said was that it's unsure of which one specifically decreased the behavior. Was it the adhere or was it the extinction? Using both of them together definitely helped create the results, I believe, into what they came out to be. So